What's going on, traders? Welcome to my stream. Today's the weekend, and I forgot to make a video on the ticker that we were discussing on Friday. Ticker on Friday was a ticker that um a lot of people wanted to go long, and I went short. This was an example of short the daily resistance. So we're gonna go talk about it. Anyway, that trading is risky. Blah 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 blah. So this is kind of like what we were doing on Friday, and a lot of people didn't really understand like what was happening. As you can see, so here on Thursday we had huge mover. I think was it Sin? I think it was Sin. So on Thursday we had a huge mover here. The stock went from I don't know like $10 to like $30 or something like that, something ridiculous like this. And when a stock like this does this, you're gonna have sympathy momentum. So Sin was a um, parabolic price action, and actually a short squeeze. So I'm gonna compare these two, so you can pretty much understand like why I decided to go short on the ticker. Sin ran from I don't know like $10, $5 to 40. $5 to 40. Reason for running. Reasons for running. Here we go. Reasons for running. For running. Low float. The only mover. News. Um, Partnership with Nvidia. Um, Partnership. Was it like news with Nvidia? Nvidia, major company. Um, Float rotation and blah blah, and a pretty much clean chart and so forth. Clean chart, no resistance until 40, no resistance till 40, till 30 to 40. So pretty much this is what spiked up on Thursday. I also have a video on this ticker, the video on it. I think I talked about how I shorted the ticker. You can go over to my max loss and Sin explaining all this information over there. So pretty much this was on Thursday, right? So now we're moving into Friday, right? So now we're moving into Friday. So the next day. So Sin went straight up, short squeeze, went up 300%, and then had an offering, and it went to the crap. The next ticker, let's see, we can get some lighting here so you can see me better. There we go, something like that. So we went straight up here, very choppy, very channely, and then we finally broke through here, and we went parabolic up to 40, and then they had an offering. That's pretty much, and the news was actually they had multiple offerings, but the news was they pretty much had a partnership with Nvidia right here. They partner with Nvidia right here. So the next day, this you have to understand like um, people pay attention. Like other companies pay attention, like what worked yesterday, and they will do something similar the next day. So let's look at LCFY. A lot of people thought that LCFY was also a long, but it was not. So I'm gonna go explain that. So LCFY, first off, LCFY. Let's talk about that ticker because I actually did go short this ticker. Let's see, we can talk about this ticker. I actually did go short, and I have a pretty massive, pretty good, pretty good, uh, pretty good P&L on it. Let me just pull it up real quick. Where is it? LCFY. LCFY. There we go. I'm trying to get it together here. LCFY. Let me see if I can show you guys here. That's kind of like I was short like 1180. So from there you go, LCFY right here. There you go. That's kind of like it. LCFY entry price and the profit on it. So that was on 629.25. So this was actually my position. And my position was primarily short. Let's see if we can get it together here. 625. There we go. We're gonna just post my short and all that. So LCFY was the Friday mover, and a lot of people did not understand this in the chat, whether to go long or whether to go short. So I'm gonna look at the price action and explain to you, long or short. So in this scenario here, you can see so that LCFY popped up, very similar to the other ticker. We pop up over here from like, I don't know, $2, $4, $5, $6, $7. And then we pretty much blew all the way up to $12 before we had a top. So initially it was a short. So my idea is to try not to short before 9 o'clock. Try not to short. These are before 9 a.m. That's kind of like my rule. I don't really short before 9 a.m. That's the reason, that breaks, and I don't short things like, over, I don't short if they're not over like 100%. I don't short if they are not over 100% top gainer. So let's compare. So these are just basic rules. Long or short. So initially, I actually went long a couple times. As we went up, I actually went long. I looked at the chart, and you can see so here that it had a similar news like Sin did. They partner with a U.S. reputation platform to scale a development of AI-ready search solutions. So they partnership with major company. All right, partnership news. Partnership with major company. So that's pretty much similar to what Sin did, is it not? That's actually that's actually the same thing. So you can see so here that Sin had a partnership with Nvidia, right? And Friday, the next day, you had LCFY, the mover. So you can see news with a major company. So they have similarities, right? Similarities. So Sin had news with Nvidia, right? Was it a low float? It was a low float as well. I don't know. That float is the amount of shares that it are available to the open public. So is it a low float? Yes, it is. So that's pretty much common. Is it the only mover? No, we actually had other movers. Is it a clean chart? No, it is not a clean chart. So that's not the same thing. So Sin ran from, I don't know, 5 to 40. It's clean chart. This ticker LCFY ran from 2 to 12, dirty chart. 2 to 12, dirty chart. So what does dirty chart mean? Means if we look on the daily on the left side, we have some serious we have some resistance points. At 1250, I mean, could it go to 16? Sure, but doesn't mean it will. Possibly not. Let's see. We can look at the 20 years X time frame here. Next time frame. Let's see if we can zoom it out. Actually, I was just zoomed out here now. There we go. There we go. So we got some resistance at 16, 12, 5, and then 12, 20, 20, 20, 22, 16, and like 37, let's call it. So these are like your resistance for you got some there, 38. So this is not really I mean it has this candle. This candle here is not really a clean. You can see so here that on this day here, we actually went all the way up to 1295 right here. You can see so here, 1295. So what you want to do is to discover, you know, to discover where the resistance points, you look on the daily, you look on the candle with most amount of volume, and you point out that high on the daily, and you pretty much try to align that with your intraday. So let's pretty much make this color green because this is a major right here. So you can see. So let me make it. I don't know. Let me make it another color. With make it not green. Let me make it blue. I'll make it blue. Blue sounds better. Oh, here's blue. You see the blue? So as you can see, so here on the daily, we had this resistance at 1295. So that's the only like high volume bar I can see there. Let's see how much we have this volume bar over here at like 8. That doesn't matter. So the most, the only resistance you really need to worry about is the blue line. And the blue line ended up being the top of this ticker because that's where most amount of volume was at. We actually had some resistance over here over this candle here. So we also have this resistance of 30 some million. So we have another blue candle over here. We have two blue candles on the daily. So this was, this was short. This was a double short the daily resistance. Both this one over here. You can see this area here and this area here were like massive resistance levels for this tick. But that doesn't mean it cannot go any higher, you know. So, my idea, so I don't really know, like, when I wake up each day, I don't really know whether or not it's a long or whether or not it's a short. I try to, every single day um, I try to trade. So in this situation, initially I thought it was a long, and I'll show you exactly, because initially I did buy it on the way up, because I bought it at like 8 or 850, and then I sold it at like 10 or 11. But, as we got close to the open, something really got me, something really, the price action in the pre-market, I thought it was initially a long. The reason I thought it was going to be a long is because this is a nice uptrending wedge breakout pattern. As you can see, so in this scenario, we popped up to the pre-market highs. We came back down. We popped up again to the pre-market highs. We came back down. Then we had a breakout. So normally, most stocks that have an uptrending wedge pattern formation, and they break the pre-market high like this. Most of the time, when they break pre-market highs like this is the pre-market high. Pre-market high, 9 a.m. This is around 9:30 a.m. As you can see that in this situation we had three things that were going together, right? We had the pre-market high, we have a wedge pattern, and then we had a pre-market high and three times the charm. So we had multiple patterns here. So we had multiple patterns. I initially thought it was a long because it was, my initial bias on it. Breaks uptrend wedge, breaks pre-market high. It's a long. Um, this was my initial. This was my initial. This was my initial bias, right? As you can see, so here. So what I did was, I waited for this consolidation. I waited for it to break 1234, which was right here, and then I went long at 1260, I think. And then pretty much what happens usually in a breakout pattern like this, the stock pretty much breaks the pre-market highs, which is 1240, and it needs to hold pre-market highs of 1240. So in normal situations, the stock breaks pre-market highs and it needs to hold pre-market highs. So for me to consider this a long, you can see so here in my right side, it needs to pretty much hold the pre-market high depicted by this green line and then keep going. This is a normal pattern as a long, but that's not what it did, right? My initial plan was to go long over here, right? And then have a stop right underneath it, right? This was my stop right here. This is my stop. So if that doesn't hold, I'm getting out. And that's exactly what I did. Because the stock failed to hold the pre-market highs on this wedge pattern. This is the normal breakout pattern right at the open. But the stock did not do the stock actually, what it did was, if you already see what exactly it did, it pretty much went straight up like this, went back down, went back up, went back down, broke the pre-market highs, tried to hold pre-market highs, and then it flopped. And a lot of people don't understand that because this is a failed pre-market high breakout. You can see so here. This is a failed pre-market high breakout. That's exactly what this stock did. We pushed the pre-market high, and then we attempt to push again, and then we had a demolishment. You can see that we pretty much demolished from 12 down to around 7. So what I did was initially I took it long at 1260. I got stopped out and I lost 60 cents. And what I did was I flipped short because I understood that this is a confirmed um, short the daily resistance pattern. This is a confirmed short the daily resistance pattern. So, my idea initially was to go long, right? And then I saw that the price action over here, when the stock failed to hold the pre-market highs, we had a breakout right here. This was the breakout, and it was supposed to hold the pre-market high and the opening range high, because this was the opening range high. It was 1220. And when I saw that it couldn't hold, we came back and we made a lower low over here. Actually, we made a lower low over here because we pushed. Right here, we were supposed to hold. Like this candle over here, I understood that this was a short to daily resistance because it should have done something like this over here. We should have pushed into pre-market highs. We should have held pre-market highs and kept going. But when it did not break out like this. I understood this was a short to daily resistance, a confirmed short to daily resistance. So what happened was here, was a fake out wedge pattern and then pretty much a sell-off. What happened here was a fake out wedge pattern, um, fake out wedge pattern. What happened? What really happened here? What happened in LCFY? It was a wedge pattern that failed. Wedge failed, and it was short the daily resistance pattern. And I have this pattern in many of my daily resistance pattern. So why was this ticker? Why was this ticker a short the daily resistance pattern? First off, you have the price action. I wanna show you my thought process to understand why was this ticker short the daily resistance pattern. This ticker short the daily resistance pattern. So number one, it was a dirty chart, right? Dirty chart. You can see so on the daily that we have a lot of resistance. I mean, we have resistance at 11 and 12, right? 11.95 and 11.24. That's a daily chart. You pretty much go here and you look at the resistance points. So why was this ticker short the daily resistance? You have a daily chart. Number two, weak news. Weak news. So the news on this ticker was partnership with a major company. Partnership, major company. So this in my mind, I was like, all right. So Sin yesterday ran from $5 to 40, and they had partnership with Nvidia. So LCFY the next day came up with news, and they said, hey, this ticker, we also have a partnership with a major company. And this, after I saw the LCFY news, I knew it that this company wants to piggyback. This company wants to piggyback off CYN hype. So first off, number one, dirty chart, weak news. The news wasn't that strong. I mean, if you read the news on this ticker, you can see the company announced partnership with U.S. platform. It doesn't. It's like it's a weak news. And number three, let's see. Pre-market price action has failed. Pre-market price action was a uptrend wedge. No, I'm sorry. Price action, wedge breakout fail. So that's number three. You can see so here, depicted by this pattern here, right here. You can price action wedge pattern breakout fail. So we had a dirty chart. We had news, weak news. We had price action of a confirmed short the daily resistance pattern. And you also had Fridays. So a lot of people don't understand how I trade Fridays. Most Fridays, Fridays. Right. So I like to group them by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's kind of like how I like to group my stocks. It does not always work like this, but around 70% of the time it does work. So Friday is the day when shorts, Friday is the day when, you have a lot of sell-offs. Traders want to just, take the traders want to take the rest of the day off. Stocks don't hold most midday. So weak price action. So Friday is the day when you have lots of sell-offs. Traders want to take the rest of the day off. Stocks don't hold most days, and we also been what I called in a weaker market this week. Friday. So what I did was initially I was short, as you can see. So here that initially I was long. I bought it at 12.69, and I pretty much what I did was I pretty much over here I got stopped out for 60 cents. And what I did was I actually went short, and you can see so here. You can see so here that normally this is the normal price action of a breakout. But we didn't get that. I was talking to the chat. This is the normal price action. What we did was we had a wedge breakout fail. So when I saw this, I actually got short. Well, you can see how much money I made there. I got short at 11.80. This. So I told the chat, it failed to hold 12.40 right here. It failed to hold 12.40, which is right here, because we broke 12.40 as a pre-market wedge pattern. And when we didn't hold 12.40, that's when you should know to go short. Because it's like this. It's either we go to 15 in this pattern, or we have a short daily resistance pattern. Because if you study my data, based on all these criteria, is Friday when most gainers sell off. You have weak news. You have a stock that's piggybacking on Thursday's news. You have a dirty chart, lots of resistance, and you have same thing. You have a low float, rotated. It was gapping up like 300%. All these tickers. So I was saying that I think LCFY said here at about 10:07 a.m. I think it will do $7, maybe 6.50 in the aftermarket. The news is fluffy. LCFY is just piggybacking off Sin yesterday and dumping share. LCFY is gonna sell off. They don't even tell you what the company they partnered with. LCFY 12 as a stop loss. What I did was I got short at 11.80. I think it was over here somewhere, 11.80 or something. And I was putting like I was putting stop at 13. I messed up my typo because I'm hard stop at 12. Initially you can see that I went short. Let's see. So you can see so here me depicting, telling the chat that this is a short the daily resistance pattern because this hit 1240 and then we went to 1240. We had a resistance point. We had a fake out breakout and then a sell-off. You can see this is the chart that I was talking into my private Discord members. Shorted, so you have so this is did not break pre-market highs. So initially I went long, bought 1260, stop is 12. And then I flipped short right here. This was my alert right here. This was my alert. Flipping short 1170, stop at 13. Looks like a fake out. So what happens was initially I thought it was a long because we had a nice wedge pattern. Like, I was expecting is going to happen something like this, and it did not. And it turned into a short because the normal pattern of an uptrending wedge pattern is that we break the pre-market highs and we hold the pre-market highs. But in this situation, we broke the pre-market highs and we did not hold the pre-market highs. So this is now a fake out wedge breakout right into a daily resistance. So what you want to do is you want to go short into that daily resistance and pretty much cover, when you see 7 or 650, because that's initially where I thought my stocks is going to be. I thought it'll do 7 or 650. This is because I was short around 12. So let's see what the stock did after I pretty much shorted it at around 11, 12, risking of 13. So I was risking $1 to pretty much make. Look how much it crashed. You can see, so here, look how much it crashed. So from 12 down to 7 on the dot. So from 12 short, we hit 7 on the dot. The low is 690. So it sold off from 12. My plan was to short at 12 and stop is 13. Went to 7 to 680. 7 to 680. So sold off from 12. Sold off from 12. Stop is 13. Went to 7 to 680. So I was risking $1 to make, I don't know, $5. So 1 to 5, risk reward. So this is a very nice setup. My plan initially, most of the time, when I have this types of setup, it's pretty much try to short it at the daily resistance and pretty much cover at the end of the day, because most of the time most of the time it never it never VWAP reclaims, it never ever breaks pre-market highs, and it just sells off. My idea was to cover at the end of the day. Sadly, this ticker actually came back a bit, and most of my shares that I did cover were around 830, right about here. So I shorted around 12, and then I covered at 830. So I did make around $4 a share. $4 a share? I think around $4 a share or something like that. And this was LCFY. This was a very interesting ticker. It had a lot of my criteria. So first off, this is LCFY. So let's review. On Thursday, we had a ticker that went from 5 to 40. It had a news with Nvidia. It went up 300%, went up another 100%. It was the only mover. We float rotate. It was a clean chart. On Friday, a lot of people thought that the next ticker LCFY will do the same similar thing, but it wasn't, because the news was fluffy, because it was trying to piggyback off Thursday news of Sin. So all that volume went into LCFY. The chart was dirty. You can see that it was a dirty chart. It had weaker news. The price action was weaker. So and it was also Friday. And Friday is the day when things are not as strong. And if they don't break pre-market highs, if these small cap tickers have a wedge pattern breakout that fails, it never goes back to those highs. Maybe one out of like 1,000 stocks. When you see a confirmed short the daily, when you see a failed uptrend wedge pattern, it never comes back to the pre-market highs. So this was my criteria to go short. I was risking around $1. My target was around 7 to 650. It actually hit my target very well, because I was shorting. You can see I was shorting on this. You can see we had major resistance at 1120, and right here. I mean, you don't even see this candle here. This candle's so small. So the only really resistance was around 12 and 11. So these were the only resistance points that we were just rejecting, these two blue lines. When I saw that intraday price action was, we went up to the resistance, we formed a wedge, we tried to break out, we didn't hold over here. This was my idea to short. As soon as this happened, we had a lower high here. When this happened here, when we had a lower high here, instead of holding this pre-market high and shooting straight up, I shorted it, risking $1, shorting 12, risking of 13, and then it just crashed all the way back down to 7. This is a very good example of a short the daily resistance. I know it's long. I was speaking for 40 minutes how to short small cap stocks because it's actually pretty difficult. But because sometimes you might get squeezed. Like what Sin did on Thursday, you can see. So what Sin did on Thursday doesn't really happen that often. You have a stock gapping up 300%, and then it pretty much goes to 40. Stock is very rare for a stock to gap up 300% and run another 100%. So what LCFY did, they were piggybacking of Sin news, but a lot of traders didn't understand like this ticker was not the same. This was not a clean chart. First off, number one, this was not it actually had heavy resistance at 1120. You can see that this bar here is around 42 million. So it did have resistance at 11 something. Imagine if you were holding a stock for, I don't know, years and years, from 11 to like 6, and it comes back to 13 or 12, you're gonna sell it. So, I thought this right here, this is your key right here, because initially we all thought this will be a Sin. I mean, this setup here, it's a perfect uptrending wedge pattern formation combined with an opening range and a pre-market high. So when we saw this, we all thought that this could go to 15, 20. But because we had a lower low over here, this is what it made it a short daily resistance. This combined with Friday, dirty chart, weak news, wedge breakout fails, and also on Friday. All these 4 ingredients made the stock a short, not a long. Like as soon as I saw this right here, I knew that it was dead. I knew that if I shorted at 12, it will probably go to 7 and 650. That's exactly what I said, really. You can see so here. It was at 10:07 on Friday. I think it will do 7, maybe 650 in the aftermarket. As soon as I went short here, as soon as I went short and the news was fluffy. So I was telling them that this is a short daily resistance pattern. As soon as I saw right here that wedge didn't hold, it was, that was your key to success. This is where I flipped short at 1170 and stopped at 13 because this was a fake out. And I ended up making huge bank on it. I was short like 1150, and I think I covered some at 830, and I still have some left there. A lot of people thought that this is gonna go higher, and I was like, no, it will not. We had Neil here shorted 1130, covered 1170, and this was a really good example. Covered 1030, 1030 short to 920, and I was like cheering for Neil. And then he shorted again 930 to 830, so he shorted like 3 times. So I told the chat, this is what a short the daily resistance looks like. You're seeing this live, what it is. We this is a really good example of my thought process. I know it's 40 minutes. I know it's long, A lot of people don't understand and can't read chart. They don't have this education. This is education. You have to be in the private Discord and you have to listen to me speak, because this is, your key to success. You should have the right bias. Initially, I was long. It was the right thing to do. And then the price action confirmed, and all the data over here on the right confirmed that this was a short daily resistance. It was a long short term, and and then a short until the close of the day. So my strategy here was to short at 13 and cover at the end of the day. It actually hit 750 at 10:30 here. Um, I didn't really think it's gonna hold up so well, but I'm sure this ticker is gonna be, under 8 on Friday. So that's about it. Thank you guys for watching this video. My plan was to short the daily resistance and then cover at the end of the day. That was my plan. That's how I like to do them. But in this situation of this ticker hit my target as I was short around 12. This ticker hit my target. It dumped like $5 after an hour, I think, from around, as I was shorting at 9:50. In 40 minutes, it hit my target. So that's about it, guys. Make sure you get yourself into our private Discord room, where I'll be live streaming, chatting my thoughts and things. Other than that, see you all next week, and peace out. And for educational purposes only.